Hello and welcome to Trains and World 4 Roadmap Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, go and check it out on the channel. Hopefully you enjoy this video. If you do, please consider hitting that like button and also subscribing. We're going to do it slightly a different way around to normal because there is something in here which is right at the end of the roadmap, which I think should be front and center, so there's clarity for all of the Trains and World community, and I'll jump to that and we'll start with that topic and then we'll work our way through the rest of the roadmap. So let's jump to it. So we start with the topic that I think everyone should be absolutely aware of and should have been front and center of this article rather than what feels like an afterthought. Dovetail Games have officially announced today that Trains and World 2 is effectively dead. There have been a number of patches or fixes that have been waiting to be released for well over 12 months now, what it feels like, and they've finally admitted today that they will not be coming. So for those of you still on Trains and World 2, it's sad to say that this obviously isn't gonna be coming, and it feels like the community has been strung along for the last 12 months saying it's coming, waiting for update slots, etc. I think it's just actually really poor on Dovetail's part. You can talk about good intentions, but they have not been upfront, I don't think, with the community from the start. If there were challenges, they should have said that from the beginning. So really poor, I think, from them. And then they kind of go on to try, give some sort of apology, and try and make a remedy by being clear about what's coming for Trains in World 3. So we'll go on to that next bit, because effectively Trains in World 3 is also dead. Yes, they say that there are patches coming for Trains in World 3, but again, if you want to make amends for when those patches will be coming, you need to give a time frame. That is not building confidence after already letting the community down with Trains in World 2 patches. I think you're shooting yourself in the foot there. If you wanted to build trust again, you should be more on it. So as you can see, we've got a number of patches coming. New York Trenton timetable, Peninsula Corridor, baby bullet services, middle main line route improvements. We've got a number of tutorial and scenario fixes, and also post-release improvements for the recent released Norfolk Southern Heritage Pack. And then you can see there a number of fixes that will only be coming to Trains in World 4. We've got the timetable. Well, that's kind of coming to both, so that's incorrect to start. Well, maybe. Dresden Reset update, yep. Southeastern high speed patch. Again, I think for me this should have been also included for Trains in World 3, because part of the release of the Class 700 was, they made a big thing about bringing the appropriate stop markers for the 700s, and now it's going to be locked behind Trains in World 4. So if you're perhaps not upgrading, you ain't going to get it. And then there are other patches, and also I think the 187 audio improvements being also Trains in World 4 is a complete it got me having a laugh, because that is one of the worst audios I've ever heard, and not to be coming to Trains in World 3 again. Meh. It's ridiculous. Then we go on to Trains in World 4 projected after launch. Projects for after launch, I think they're trying to say there. We've got some baby bullet services and the Colnark and timetable that we talked about in part 1. So there we go. I kind of wanted to take you through that, because I think it's a real piece here about how Dovetail Games are actually managing their communications with the community at the moment, because it feels like we have these roadmap articles and streams every month, and things get said and promises get made that ultimately continually get broken. I think it's time they really take a step back and look about how they do effective communication, but also being completely clear with the community, rather than saying all these good intentions but without having the confidence they can actually deliver on it. And I also think at the moment they should be really clear about because Train Sim World 3 is still on sale, and there are only limited patches that will be coming. So, for up to perhaps, a month maybe? I don't know. Anything after that, Train Sim World 3 will not be supported. So, I think they need to be clear with people, because they are still trying to sell it. It's, it's still out there for people to buy today. So, really just my thoughts on Train Sim World 2 and 3, pretty much becoming end of life, and we'll dive into the rest of the article now. Now on to a more cheerier note in terms of some of the features that will be coming with Train Sim World 4. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail because there's a lot of text here, but essentially it gives us a little bit more insight into what you can expect with the editor. Essentially, you won't be able to modify existing routes, but you will be able to create scenarios and services on there, which seems pretty cool. You'll absolutely be able to create your own routes and own trains. There's probably going to be limited, I guess, instructions in terms of how to use this PC editor. So it'll be a case of researching online, possibly watching YouTube tutorials, something along that effect. Obviously, it's a professional game development tool, so if you've got some experience in perhaps doing some of that in the past, you'll benefit here. It won't be available to console players. It's only available on the Epic Game Store, and this is really just I think what they're trying to do is to encourage people to consider making third-party content. So, just to kind of sum it up here, you'll be access to the version or the development tools that Dovetail Games use in Unreal Engine 4. So absolutely same tools as the teams use. Create anything you like, gameplay, trains, and even your own routes, and you'll be able to create routes, locomotives, and scenarios from day one. Nice. And there'll be additional updates to the editor to improve experience and shareability. So I think watch this space and see what will be possible going forward. We then move into free roam, which is actually, it's a sandbox mode effectively, where you'll be able to spawn trains anywhere you kind of feel like, and you can really mix it up. So you could put the Flying Scotsman on, say, Castle Würzburg, just for the fun of it, if that's your thing. So you can really mix things up. Should players be excited? Well, yeah, absolutely. It gives you unlimited freedom to do anything you like with your collection of trains and routes. So it's going to be pretty mad, and it seems like it's pretty easy to use. I think the most interesting thing is it will be available to use in timetable mode. My concern was that you could only sort of go mad in quite a sterile environment where there are no other services, but it very much feels like you can interweave into the timetable mode, and the sim will adapt to it. So that's pretty cool. We've got a bit of a roundup here. So spawn trains anywhere at any time, set paths anywhere you like, use your entire collection as you wish. So we move on to Scenario Planner 2.0. You'll get the theme. 2.0 is a bit of a running theme. So Scenario Planner 2.0 is reworked, brand new user interface, range of new features and enhancements, make more comprehensive scenarios. Yeah, I'm absolutely all for that. The original Scenario Planner was, say, quite basic, but it feels like this is a massive step in the right direction. I guess some of the key features. So reworked, easier to use UI, custom start times, changing paths, TSW2 only routes, or chaining paths, should I say. Portal support for AI trains, weather selection, and introductory text. So I think the two bits that really kind of could take things to the next level is the portal support, in that you can have trains run on and off the routes now, rather than having to stay within the confines of the route. So that should allow for more traffic, and also chaining paths together. The one thing that I didn't spot was if the number of services allowed within a scenario has been increased. So that would be interesting to find out. Then we move on to Livery Designer. More layers. Used to be a 300, now 1,000, so you can make more complex designs. organize layer lists and type text. So as you see there, livery description. So I guess you give a bit of better livery description. You've now got undo, redo, toggle livery usage for AI trains. So you won't necessarily randomly see the livery that you're running on the train also appear on other trains within, say, a service mode. You now have text entry, which will make putting text on a train a lot easier, also along with the font, even as I talked about, increased layers and additional operators and fonts. So I think it's just, again, taking Livery Designer to the next level. We then move on to photo mode. So this is going to be quite an interesting one. It means taking shots that you perhaps come across that look awesome a little bit easier. And yeah, I think I'd like this one in that you can just hit pause on the game, jump into photo mode, and then you can find that perfect shot. But it also has a range of settings that you can mess with. So as you can see in front of us, you can change, for example, the depth of field, focal point, rotation, motion blur. There's also you can change the brightness, contrast, etc. So it does give you a range of options, which I think are all positive. So I'm all for photo mode, as you can see here. So pause game, adjustable camera settings, filter and enhancements, all new personal in-game gallery. So you can view the shots you've taken quite easily. So that's pretty cool. And then we move on to scoring 2.0. So it's fair to say the original scoring system was interesting, to say the least. Yeah, it was all. It was sometimes perhaps impossible to get a gold on certain things, but they've really sort of taken it to a new level now, where scores will be based not solely on just sticking under speed, stopping in the right place. There's a lot of other things that now factor into it. So, and they've got a new tier, which would be the platinum tier. It used to be just bronze, silver, gold, but we now have platinum, which is can only be achieved if you hit 90% of the maximum score possible, including having safety systems on. So if you want to if you're chasing those platinums, you know what to do. I think it does give, yeah, there you go. You can see some of the where you perhaps pick up points and also have penalties as well. So I think it will better reflect your driving. So for example, safety systems enable correct configuration. So for example, having the headlights on, stopping accuracy, being on time. And then you may pick up penalties with running without wipers, heavy braking, leaving vehicle unsafety, coupling with too much force. So yeah, I think this will better reward good driving. So I'm all for it. And we've got ease of use. Some of the things we've got here, we've got difficulty rating for each train. So basically just telling you how easy or difficult it is to drive a certain train. Scenarios now tell you what makes up their difficulty ratings. Okay, fine. So it was always a bit interesting working about how it's actually it's how a scenario was difficult or easy, but yeah, cool. The 323 and 8F is now in the training center, adding gates to train controls. So you can't accidentally put the train in a bad place. Some trains will let you easily slide into a emergency brake, which can then be awkward to get out of. Again, with these gates in place, you'll need to release and reapply the control to get it to go into the emergency state. A simplified HUD for beginners, which removes some of the more advanced. Yeah, I'm not really sure with that. I'd like to see a demonstration of that in practice. We've got now a minimal HUD, which I think will be quite interesting. Actually, it looks quite nice. You can see sort of 2 kilometers in advance what the signals are, what the speed is going to be. Yeah, I quite like that. It's quite clean, actually. and then you have to rely on actually checking the speed on the train rather than just relying on the HUD. So that's I think I will certainly be giving that one a go. We've got a lot more text here. If you want to read this, please do read through it. I will link it in the description down below the article. So we've got difficulty rating for locomotives, improved player assist, simpler HUD, automatic couplet and yard routing, added 323 and 8F to training center, improved key mapping for accessibility. Nice. And we've got the additional features. So we've got haptics. So those of you who are using a controller on console, you'll get the vibrations now. So that's pretty cool. Then we've got volumetric fog. I think a great way to show this is these pictures here. So previously the fog did look it didn't look great, if I'm honest, but this looks much more true to life. So I think that's a big improvement. You can just see in these shots here how much better it does look. So the volumetric fog will work with all of the routes that have the Train Sim Board 3 lighting. So anything from Train Sim Board 3 lighting or release onwards, and those that have been upgraded to Train Sim Board 3 lighting will benefit from this. So I think that's a positive. And then we've got some other new updates. So the overhead line rendering, so it just looks a little bit more impressive. Rain on windscreens, suspension improvements, which we all talked about in the part 1, haptics for the controllers, light bar and controller audio for PlayStation controllers. So that'll be quite interesting, because I think the light bar on the DualSense controller will show you the signal, whether it's a red, a green or an amber. And then there's a bit of a topic on how they source the sound and audio for Train Sim Board 4, sorry. So feel free to read through that. I don't think I'm going to read through it for you. And again, a piece on the music that you would have heard at the intro of the Dovetail Direct. So that rounds up this part 2 of the Train Sim Board 4 roadmap. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please consider hitting that like button and also subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.